Aggressive alpine skiing.
Witamy w Stalkant.fm, twoim podcastowym źródle wiedzy o narciarstwie alpejskim. Razem z najlepszymi gośćmi alpejskiego cyrku analizujemy nie tylko sport, ale także jego przyszłość w Polsce i za granicą. Przygotujcie się na trudne pytania i fascynujące rozmowy. Prowadzą dla Was Antoni Zalewski i Maciej Żabski. W dzisiejszym odcinku dzisiaj w Stalkancie absolutna topka światowej trenerki Sashę Rearicka. Z Sashą będziemy rozmawiać o tym, co powinno cechować dobrego zawodnika, czego uczy się od swoich podopiecznych oraz jak to jest mówić Tedowi Ligetymowi, że miał słaby przejazd na gigancie. Zapraszamy serdecznie do wysłuchania naszego podcastu. Stalkant FM. Today we have a great guest. I don't know where to even start. Head World Cup technical coach, head men's coach, head men's development coach, US ski and snowboard. Right now, coach in Apex 2100.
100.
Yeah, sorry. Sashę Rearicka. Sasha, hello and welcome to Stalkant FM.
Hey, thank you so much. Welcome, guys. Thank you for having me.
Please tell me something about yourself and so that our listeners can get to know you maybe better.
So I'm originally from New York City, and I grew up on the East Coast of America, and I played a lot of other sports, and I loved skiing. Skiing was kind of a real secondary sport till I was about 16 or 17 years old, and I fell in love with skiing. And it was just something about being able to travel the world and go around the world and meet people and express yourself on a mountain and be in nature. And it was just something that I fell in love with. And I went to university to study sports science in Western Western State College of Colorado. And I did my French ski instructor diploma back in the late 90s and worked in teen. And from there, got to go work at the Olympic Training Center with other sports, and kind of thought I was going to go more towards that sports science area. But having, worked in the lab, I realized that skiing was really, the sport that was outside, and it wasn't, taking bloods on a bike or working on force platforms. And it was, coaching skiing was something that I really, really enjoyed. And so I further explored it, worked at Green Mountain Valley School. I was a biology teacher, I was a dorm parent, I was running strength and conditioning. And then from there, I got the opportunity to go to the U.S. team, where I coached for 19 years. 10 years as the head coach. The last 3 as I went back and started a project was called Project 26, which was trying to revamp development in America, which was a super fun project. And then Apex spent a couple of years trying to lure me over to Europe on this new exciting project, and I've been here as the Alpine Performance Director at Apex for the past 3.5 years, and it's been an amazing project building. We built from 33 athletes 4 years ago to now over 188 athletes, from 10-year-olds all the way to 24-year-olds. Our goal is to have athletes at every level so that there's a stepping stone for them. So wherever they are in their career, they can come together with skiing, education, athletic development, social, bring that all together and all the way along the pipeline. And you could come in and go away and come back in at different levels of that steps. And building that project has been really fun with all the experiences that I've had from, being a kid from the city who loves skiing to coaching the best in the world to trying to revamp a development system and bringing that all together in one program has been a fascinating, fun time.
Yeah, the thing that caught my attention was that you studied sports science, because very often, like in Poland especially, coaches originated from a family of coaches. My dad was a coach. I am the coach, for example, not in my case, but in Poland very often. But you studied also sports science. That caught my attention because it gave you like fundamentals of physics, of movements. How did it look in your case?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I studied sports science, exercise physiology to be specific. So really a background in exercise physiology gave me a foundation. And then going into, strength and conditioning, which now is better called athletic development, but back then it was strength and conditioning. And I think that really, between those two foundations, really gave me the kind of the structure and how to work with an athlete, how to plan for long-term development. Much better so than you learn in any ski coach's school or anything like that. And having worked in that area and worked with some great PhD doctors in that area, really taught me the foundation, the fundamentals of planning, communicating, and then adapting. Because as soon as you have a plan, you're seeing how the athlete's adapting to the plan. You have to adapt your plan based on the situation. So really, I think that was a great foundation for my education and career as a ski coach.
Okay, I have a question for you because I want you to explain something to me. The role of a head ski coach and how does it look? Like, is it a way that it works in a way that you have still time to work with athletes on their basics, like day-to-day stuff, or you are just only focused on planning stuff and just overseeing it as it goes?
Just so I understand the question better, is this a head coach at a national team?
Yeah. I'm going
Yeah.
back a little bit more. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No problem. So, as a head coach of the Europa Cup team or a head coach of a World Cup Tech team, there you're really kind of the day to day plus the next month. You're really looking at, how are we going to get this guy faster? What's going on? Really working with the technicians, the other coaches, the physio, trying to understand what's going to make this athlete faster for the next race. Um, and that's really connected very closely in that way. Once I transitioned to the head coach of the national team, that was more of a GM type role. And really, there you're looking when I was doing my job best was really looking kind of long term. So it was much more about hiring the right people, giving them the roles and responsibilities to for them to express themselves and do the best jobs they could. Of course, being on the hill, seeing what's going on, because as a head coach, you're at every World Cup. So you're seeing what's going on. But your role is really looking at the future, selections, budgets, hiring, firing, evaluations, and looking at how are we going to get better long term. And really putting trust into your head coaches and your assistant coaches to do the daily work of getting the athletes faster for the next race.
I need to ask a question about our heroes of younger years, of course, Bode Miller and Ted Ligety. I was thinking about it. You were coaching them. How does it feel to tell Ted, how this GS run was poor, dude? Oh, no. Poor run. How does it feel?
Yeah.
Is it even possible to tell Ted, poor GS run, poor GS turn?
I mean, I think when you're working with any athlete at the highest level, or any athlete, even at 16-year-olds, 15-year-olds, you have to work with the individual, understand their personalities, and you find a way to communicate with them, you know, to bring them somewhere where they can't go by themselves. And that's really the role of a coach. And so, when Ted was coming up through the Europa Cup system, there was much harder, saying, okay, let's go this way, let's go this way. Once he definitely found the best in the world turns and was winning, there it was much more making sure the training was perfect, making sure he was getting what he needed from ski testing, that he was getting what he needed from his staff. But at times, you're also suggesting, hey, we got to go this way more, to hold him accountable. So, Bodie, for example, he wanted to be held accountable in certain things. And we used to argue about ski racing a lot. He loved to have his reasons why he was doing things, but he always was reflective and, um, step by step would improve. But both of those athletes had, amazing intuition and ideas of how to express themselves differently on the slopes, which I learned tremendously from over the years.
What do you mean by express? Because on other podcasts, you also mentioned that the ability to express themselves on a slope is one of the key factors that make a good or maybe the best athlete. Uh, what is this expression? Like, how can you express yourself on a ski? What is behind that? Let's say.
Well, I think if you look at the great artists or the great athletes, An artist can be an actor. It could be a painter. It can be it could be an athlete in football or soccer. The very best in the world, they have a way of expressing themselves freely, and not in a controlled way. And they're so free in their movements. They're so free in what they're doing that they push the sport. They push the median far beyond what everybody thinks is possible. And we all as teachers have an idea what is right, what is wrong. And the very best in the world, they're going to be creative. They're going to find new solutions, new ways to do it. And we, as coaches and as people around them, have to create this fire to let them express themselves. Bode's expression of a turn compared to Ted is completely different. So really, this freedom of expression, this freedom of being free to find flow, is important. Instead of, this is right, this is the control way of doing it. This is how you're supposed to do it.
I was listening to the podcast with you, and very often you were talking about expressing yourself on the slope. But I was also thinking when expression could gone too far. For example, maybe when expression becomes a mistake that you need to correct. There are certain racers that are characteristic doing their signature movements, but sometimes maybe a coach should say, "Hey, try this different. I know this is you, but I know the faster way to do it." Yeah.
Yeah. No, very good question. Very good question. And, first and foremost, there are fundamentals to the sport that are important. And, if you don't have those fundamentals, then you are not able to adapt to many different situations. So that's why for me, it's so important that the athletes learn, especially at a young age, learn really, really good fundamentals. And it's simple. We ski on the outside ski. We have an active weight transfer from one ski to the other. That the lower leg's engaged, that we have upper and lower body separation, or the upper body is stable. We have stability, it's disciplined, and a pole plant, and we keep the skis on the snow. So those are kind of the fundamentals. If you're doing those things, then how you blend those, how you let those things come together in their own skills is really an expression, a freedom of expression. Now, a coach's job is to put the athletes in many different scenarios and situations so that they can figure out, okay, this is what I need to do in this situation. This is what I have to do in this situation. But if they have good fundamentals and they're pushing the line and they're pushing things, then they need to find things. They need to try to find their own solutions. A coach can't say, coaches do this 99% of the time around the world. They say, this is the solution. This is the way to go. But that's an idea that we have. And, more importantly is give them a task, carve clean turns, make a straighter line, reduce the drag, whatever it may be the task, and let the athlete find their solution for them. That's freedom of expression. And, yes, we can guide them. If a kid is rotating way too much, we could guide them saying, hey, try this solution, see how that's going to work for you. And they'll learn that. And with time, that becomes part of their way of expression. And what I've seen is if athletes have really solid fundamentals, then they can explore. But as a coach, also, the last part of this is important, is that where we learn is right on the edge of errors. So we have to push the limit, and we have to be just over our comfort zone, and we have to be making little errors, little failures, errors. And we have to be able to identify that those are errors. That's not what we want to do. But that's where we learn. If we're always in our comfort zone doing this, we're not learning, and it's not progressing sport. We become good. But we're talking about becoming the very best, pushing the limit of the sport. And this, we have to be pushing this limit of errors. And errors takes mental capacity to want to embrace that struggle, to put arms around that struggle. And that's critical. And again, so if I'm going to do that, I have to express in different ways. I can't just be like, I have to do it this way, one way.
Okay, I have a following question to that because I want to know your way of thinking when it comes to, for example, you're coaching somebody and you're do you tell anybody, like a kid or a athlete or just anybody, try to ski like this guy or this guy, like maybe like Maillard or I don't know, like Christoffersen or like
Mhm. Absolutely.
Katarina Leinsberger? Do you set up the goal for an athlete to be like somebody else, and how does it connect with still expressing yourself in your
Yeah,
way?
yeah, yeah. So absolutely, like, let's just say take Odermatt right now. I mean, Odermatt, his upper and lower body separation at the moment of the turn is phenomenal. Every single turn, he's regrouped, his upper body is regrouped and it's facing the outside ski. So he can go wicked straight, turn in, lean in a little bit. But at that moment where there's force, he's in a good position. That's a fundamental. So, of course, look at that. Take an athlete who's struggling with this, and you just say, image, 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 image. Look at Odermatt, look at Odermatt. But let's not look at Odermatt and say, okay, in the turn, he's really tall, or is this, he's doing this in between the turns, he's doing this, because that's a little bit his own style. But what he does every single turn is that
Hmm.
regroupment. He's regrouped, he's in control, he's got upper lower body separation at the moment of the turn. Doesn't matter if it's downhill or GS, he's doing it. So I think that's being specific when watching video, or when you watch Noel Clement Noel. His ability to keep the skis on the snow is amazing. It's like so fluid, it's so on the snow, they're glued to the snow. It's just, so he's like, that's fundamentals. He's the best in the world at it.
I have a question for you. Would you agree with me when it comes to Clement Noel that he may be just too fast for slalom right now, and that's why he is, not finishing so often? Because I get that from his runs. Like, I mean, I always say that he's just too fast. He's just too fast, and that's why he's making errors.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's trying to push the limit. I think, personally, I think in the second runs where you have a little bit of a shelf, he hasn't figured out how to adapt his movements to the little bit of a shelf. So when it's smooth, the gate is here and the snow is like this. So his movement patterns are connecting the ski to that. But then in the second runs, when there's more of a shelf, he hasn't connected the movement patterns to that right now. And that's why in second runs he's struggling a little bit more. And I think the French guys in general, like, they're fast, they're skiing real fast long, but second runs has been kind of a little bit of a challenge there. Who also knows what's going on between the ears? Is he thinking too much? Is he putting pressure on himself? Who knows? I have no idea. But from a technical point of view, I think you have to adapt to the situation, and I think that's what, like, the great guys that have stayed in the top seven for so many years. I mean, Marcel Hirscher was amazing at it. He could adapt to that different terrain. I mean, he was probably the best at it ever. I think Odermatt in GS is able to do it at a very high level too. Absolutely.
I must admit that I loved the talks, what you said about the errors, making small errors and improving, because a few days ago we recorded a talk with a sports psychologist, and she said that that's the biggest error of coaches. They are telling the athletes, oh, now go error free. No, you shouldn't go error free because you are not learning. So
I
it's
totally
really
agree.
great. Yeah, yeah.
Totally
But
agree.
coming back to the question, I also heard in some podcasts that you said that sometimes you are telling your kids in Apex ski like Stenmark, which is of course confusing them because they don't know who Stenmark is. But does it mean that skiing technique for this, in this period of time of 50 years, doesn't change, or it's like
The,
base
the, the,
fundamentals is the
the,
same?
the, the fundamentals of the sport have not changed. Okay.
Okay.
The
Still,
fundamentals
you
of the
have
sport.
go to
Now,
left and right and on the outside ski. Yeah.
you still have to go left or right. You have to still keep the skis on the snow. You still have to have upper lower body separation. When I say to an athlete, ski like Stenmark, um, we need a good history teacher to help me, because
Yeah.
they don't know who he is. So you're right about this. So that doesn't mean anything to them. But when you set very, very, very turny, I mean, like over turny and tight, if you kind of don't move really dynamically from one foot to the other and really forward, you can't turn the ski. So Stenmark, he was carving the turn because he was moving so much more than everybody else. That's why he was able to carve the turn. So when it's set really, really turny, you have to move like Stenmark. Now, if you tell someone to, on a very straight course, in the fall line, to move like Stenmark, they won't make it 2 gates because they will fly out of the course. So it's situational.
Trying to connect these two words of you coaching top athletes and right now also top athletes, but younger ones. What is the difference in a coach's attitude? What should be the difference between coach's attitude when teaching younger ones and younger kids, and what differences do you see comparing athletes in World Cup and right now your kids in Apex?
I mean, I think, the very best World Cup coaches and programs, they're still teachers. I think when you see coaches bring athletes through from, let's say, FIS to Europa Cup to World Cup, and the coaches that do that kind of regularly, they are really good teachers. And they teach by explaining, but they also teach by putting the athletes in different situations. And I see the same at this level. At U14, U16, this, you have to be a really good teacher. Um, and so that I would say is similar. Um, I think the difference is a little bit, they have a lot more to learn. So you need a lot of patience. You need a lot of patience to teach them professional habits, and like, how to take care of the ski rooms and how to dry off the skis and you know, how to behave and show up on time and those things. But so it takes more patience, I think, for coaches to come and work with athletes at this kind of developing stage in their career. But I find it, and I would say if you talk to many of my colleagues, it's extremely rewarding because you see the flowers grow really, really fast. When you're doing good work and you've connected on an individual basis with teenagers, their progress and their change towards, professional adults is so fast. And this is very, very rewarding. Where when you're at the highest level, the changes are minute, and it's not you don't get to see the flowers that often in your work. Here you see it very often, which is, I think, very nice, very enjoyable.
Okay, and also you've mentioned, apart from patience, you've mentioned being a good teacher. Yeah, that this is, and I want to expand on that, on what makes a good teacher. But also, since you mentioned that you've been hiring and firing, uh, yeah, that's the question. Like, what from your perspective, as you've seen this part of hiring people, let's say, and getting to your team, what in your opinion makes a good coach, and what are the values that you're looking for, and what are the um, I mean, I'm not applying and I'm not sending my CV, not yet, maybe.
I just wanted to say that you are
Yeah,
now checking
and
the grant, checking the requirements.
yeah, I need to know. I need to know what if I were to join Apex. What areas should I improve more?
Well, I don't know you and your strengths and weaknesses and your strengths, but first and foremost, I like to work with people who, number one, have passion for kids in sport. You have to have passion for sport. You have to really be willing to work hard. It's not a 9 to 5 job. It's not a Monday to Friday job. It's a job that takes full effort, full commitment. So that's number one. Eh, Willing to learn and willing to share is important. I love the sport because I'm constantly learning, and I want to work with people that are learning with me. So that's an important part. The humility to learn is critical. Um, and then what I found is you find good people, and you might not necessarily have the right role for them, but you can find over time the right role. And there are certain people that are amazing with a certain age group or a certain level, a certain skill set. And I would say that that's been my strength, is being able to watch people work and relatively quickly go, okay, you have a feeling for 12-year-olds, or you have an amazing feeling for 14-year-old women, or you're, the 23-year-old woman who's battling through the Europa Cup. That's a different fight, and you have that skill set to connect with them. Or the 19-year-old boy who could be a pain in the ass sometimes at that age. There's some people that are really good with that. Personally, that's my favorite, is to be with the teenagers that are going through those things. I like that. And I watch my coaches who work with the U12s and even the U14s, and I'm in awe of how good they can get. They can connect with them, and they can communicate with them, and they can get them to go in a clear direction. And if I go with them, I often just lucky I don't lose them on the mountain. So I think that's also an important part of when you put a team together, finding people that want to learn, that want to work hard, that have good knowledge of the sport, but are also able to connect with that type of student or that type of athlete, that age and the level that they're currently at.
Mhm.
Okay, okay. Can I just one more and then
Sure. There
okay,
you
one
go.
more because when we talked with Aga was really inspired by you. I don't know if she said anything to you about that, but yeah, that's the truth, and that's the truth. But she told us that you were very eager to share your experiences, share your knowledge, and just teach just share your passion for this. And this is something that for me is not so present in Poland. And do you think that knowledge should be accessible to all? Like, we shouldn't just keep it to ourselves and just try to learn as many people as we can?
Yeah.
And how do you
I mean,
find time for that?
yeah, no, 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 for sure. Sharing and learning. And when I share, like doing this podcast today, I know that is going to help me refine some ideas, and it's also going to make me reflect and go, okay, this is an area that I need to reflect and change. So when you share is when you learn. So that's one that we have to realize. And number two is I think when people you see everywhere in every sport and every dimension, you see people say, no, I don't, it's my ideas. I'm going to hold my ideas. They lack the self-confidence. And I tell you right now, I share everything because I know it's it's still for the athletes to get better. It's the execution of the knowledge. It's the urgency that you can get to the athlete to go there. So this part is the magic. It's not the knowledge that I have. I have my experiences and I'm willing to share them. But I don't believe that another club or another program is going to be able to beat me or whatever because I shared it. I hope that they take it on because they get better, and then it's going to make me have to get better. But in the back of my mind, I also know there are very few people that have the courage to go execute it and take it a step farther. And I wish they would. Um, and Aga, I think, is got the character to do this. That's why I like to share with her, because I think she has this desire to learn and try things. And she's going to try something, and sometimes it works great, sometimes it doesn't work at all. But that's how we learn, and we share the ideas back and forth. And she goes, "Hey, I tried this, and with this level of girls, with her it worked fantastic, and with her it didn't work at all." And we then can have a discussion why and how we can refine.
Perfect, perfect. I love it. I love it because I got the feeling that you put skiing on the level, like on the corporate level, like on a big company, that there is a meeting that people are discussing what went wrong. However, in Poland, it still looks like in a amateur way that let's go, let's put some, turns, put some slalom, do some runs, and now go back, go home. Yeah, and that's all. Like really, really, you are into it, and it's really inspiring. I want to a little bit change the topic now, because you were a head coach, and this season, and we are a lot of discussing about speed events, and the problem is that in the World Cup, I got the feeling, this is my personal opinion, that with the changing technology, with the skis that are faster, with the athletes which are stronger and more agile, the courses, downhill courses are extremely dangerous. And don't you think that it went too far, and we are now looking like a death match, and we are, waiting for another bunch of skiers to be heavily injured? Because to be honest, it took me away the joy of watching downhill. This this season I'm banning downhill, for example, especially Bormio or not mentioning Sarazen crash.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't there. I wasn't on the ground. I haven't watched. So it's hard for me to really comment on what's going on there. There are so many factors that go into the danger, the speed. It's danger of speed of training, of racing. You know, you have the equipment, you have the course sets, the snow preparation, the desire of the athletes to go to the speed, the terrain, the fatigue. You know, there's so many things. The temperature, the air temperature, the changing snow conditions from start to finish, and how the equipment goes on. So I wasn't there, so I can't comment on, this is what needs to change for it to get safer. I just think that, there are so many factors that go into when a course becomes overly dangerous. That it's a hard thing for people that are not there on the ground seeing it each day to really know. Um, I wish the very best for Sarazan. I think Fist posted yesterday a really great post of Sarazan speaking and how he was doing, and I think that was amazing to see him doing well and talking about where he's at. Um, I think that's the story that we should be focusing on, and then also, how do we in my role is how do we prepare athletes so they are able to adapt to whatever FIS and World Cup committees decide is going to be the future of downhill skiing. Um, and then the one thing I would just say is, you know, cut proof cut proof clothing is it needs to be mandatory. I'm glad the FIS is making it mandatory, but this is something that all ski racers should be wearing. Just today, I had a kid straddle and the ski popped up and hit him in the leg, cut through his suit, cut through his underwear, but he had the cut proof suit, so he didn't even feel it. He didn't even know. But you see the slice, the suit. So I think that's a safety thing that needs to be brought in the downhill that I think is a no-brainer.
Narciarstwo!
And maybe I will right now switch the topic to Apex because I want to. This is for me, because when I first heard about Apex, for me it was like watching Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. It was like I was waiting for an owl to appear in my chimney with a letter inviting me to. Well, really, once I've heard about it, I don't know if I was ever so wishing for being younger, like being 10 years old and having maybe not rich parents, but rich enough to get me to this school. But when it comes to Apex, I want, because you have 7 fundamentals. There are 7 things that you are teaching. I did my homework and I watched
Yep.
some of the videos that are there.
Yep.
And I just for our audience to know, like, I know that you spoke about those fundamentals, but maybe let's go through the 7 ones that we have,
Yeah.
and
Let's
if you
take a
can.
step. Yeah, let's take a step back and just understand what Apex is about. It's about putting together education, which is what we call learn, training, which is the skiing, the ski racing, the training camps, and then perform, which is your athletic development, learn about nutrition, learn about sleep and recovery, mental performance skills, mental health skills. Um, putting this together in a way where it's all blended in a social way, where the athletes they're staying in the dorms, and they've got pastoral support, and it all comes together to work in coordination. So I think that's first and foremost with Apex is big strength is that ability to bring those things together and bring athletes from around the world together. And really, as our model is getting better together every single day. My job is to keep pushing urgency that we're pushing to get better every day, and we're constantly working, put that effort in, and having patience so that the work is going to cause performance increases, enjoyment increases, and skills that they can transfer to ski racing at a higher level or other areas of their life. In terms of just ski racing, we have a basics program, and this is just a way that we can come together with coaches from around the world. We have coaches from France, from Italy, from Poland, from Canada, USA, New Zealand to come together, so we can talk about a similar vocabulary. And so we have the fundamentals, which we just talked about before, but we have skills, which is edging, steering, and pressure. So we could talk about skiing in that way, just like most countries around the world do. But then I think where we're unique is we talk about the cornerstones of the sport, and the cornerstones of the sport are pressure in the fall line,
Mm-hmm.
reducing distance traveled, and reducing drag or friction. So those three, and every training session you're trying to get better at those.
Okay.
And if you're putting pressure against the fall line, you're going to be slow. If you're skiing, a super round line, you're going to be slow. So we have a vocabulary, we're trying to get those better. Then we have our speed generators and how we generate speed. And just yesterday, I was out there with the U16 boys B group, and we're working on our skating skills because you got to be able to generate speed. Skating's one of those ways you generate speed. Pumping is another way. Swinging, moving on the skis is another
Mm-hmm.
way. But those are speed generators are important. And then, of course, you have tactics or rhythm and timing. So, the rhythm and timing. So you need to work on rhythm and timing, but I would say that's for the, small part at this level. At the higher levels, at the Europa Cup, World Cup level, that becomes critical.
Mm-hmm.
The very best of any sport, they have amazing rhythm and timing. But what we're also really teaching is decision making. So do I put the apex low on the turn? Do I put it up on the turn? Do I go straight or do I go round? Or what decisions do I make? And we can't tell them what to do when they're racing. They have to make split decisions, split moment decisions. So they have to
Mm-hmm.
practice decision making. And I would say that, decision making is a big part of what we're trying to teach. And today I saw guys flying off a roll, and I saw different decisions being made, and let them try for about 4 runs. And finally it was like, okay, they don't have a clue where they're going. So let's teach them. Let's
Okay.
have the teaching discussion. This is where you put your turn so that you can then absorb the role. Um, so, I would say that that's what we're trying to do at Apex, just have a common vocabulary and kind of
Mm-hmm.
in those frameworks where, in less than 2 minutes, I'd be able to give you the whole philosophy of our scheme.
Yeah.
We have to come to Teen to and
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
I think we will sleep in Aga's room maybe, and somehow I don't know where she sleeps, but I have a question for you. What was the most recent thing that you learned from your coaches or from your kids? Like you saw that and wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know that you can do something like that this way or that way.
That's a good question. I would say one of the things that I've learned from one of my colleagues is really this concept of building tension in the initiation of the turn. Stefan Sorel's been talking about it for a couple of years, and it wasn't really digging in for me. But then I started to, kind of think about it and started feeling my own skiing. And I really think that that's a really nice way of talking about the initiation of the turn. You come through the transition, you come to neutral, a neutral stance, and then you just build tension. And you're building tension within the equipment, and you're building tension within your body to prepare for the turn. So that to me was, I think, a real game changer for my own education, and that's it came from one of our U16 coaches, um, who's got a tremendous amount of experience, more than I do. So I love learning from him. So that's one, and then just today, one of our assistant U16 coaches set a course, and he set some in two hairpins with some rolls, and just letting the kids struggle through at first inspection, but then just instead of telling them how to do it, sent them back around for another inspection and had the patience to just say, "Hey, go look at it again, come up with a new way to do this." And seeing the kids on the second try, actually ski a very difficult course very easy. And I like to see a young coach have the confidence to stay cool and just say, "Hey, they did it." He identified the problem, which was just a poor inspection, and he was confident they had the skills to actually do it right if they put the focus to it. And so that was just an example of what happened just right next door here to me today.
I got very important question because yeah, this is super interesting. Are you planning to open under 40 section in Apex for us?
A master's program?
Yeah, we got still a lot of still a lot of place for development for us.
I'm looking. I'm always looking, around other sports and how other sports do their sports academies. And I noticed that every single tennis academy, you can sign up no matter what age you are for a week camp. And I'm going, how do I do that? So that's, I going, but that's not our business model. Our business model is education kids and trying to help kids through the stepping stones. So I don't at this moment, that's not part of our plan. Our plan is really to keep focused on education, bringing education and athletics together. And then once you've finished high school, that you can move into the PG program, and there's different levels of the PG program. And as you progress through the PG program, you can go to the pro team, which is the Europa Cup and the World Cup team. So that's
Okay.
that's our focus area.
Okay. And I think we don't want to keep you too long because I know that sun is about to set, and
No problem.
maybe three last questions. But I really like where this conversation is going. But I want to ask about your inspirations from other sports and what sports and what in these sports exactly gives you inspiration to put that into skiing.
Okay, the internet broke up there for a second, but what I heard was looking for inspiration from other coaches and other sports. Is that correct? So I never played basketball, and if you've watched me shoot a basketball, you'd be like, okay, he can never play basketball. So I'm short. I can't. I have no skills, no skill. But I love reading basketball coaches' books, autobiographies, and my first one was John Wooden, who I think is the professor of many generations of coaches. He was the one who was able to express the process over the outcome better than anybody else, and I think all coaches should take a moment in their lives to read a John Wooden book and understand that the pyramid of success and just how to focus on the process. Um, I learned a lot reading and watching Phil Knight, the famous coach from the LA and the Bulls. Um, just about how to form a team, how to create a team, understand that everybody on the team has a vital role, and they have to accept that role. So when you talk about teams, so I've learned a lot from reading his books and listening to him over the years. Um, but in terms of like watching sports and what they're doing right now in the kind of the world of, let's call it task-based or constraint-based learning, which I think is really where sport needs to go. I think golf right now, all of a sudden you have golf coaches doing a really good job of taking the sport external outside of the body cues, challenging golfers in ways that have not been done, because before it was always, your elbow here, your wrist here, your eye here, your nose here. But all of a sudden, I think there's people doing that. In baseball, they're doing it as well, which I think is really cool. Um, I think in baseball in America right now, we have a few people that are really getting how do we connect with kids and what's the value of sports. So I really enjoy watching their message and how they're trying to get families and get kids to just love sport and build passion around sport. I think baseball is, trying to do a really good job of that right now in America. Um, I did coaches schools in different sports, and USA Hockey, when I did it about 10 years ago or 15 years ago, they did a great job of getting the community around, a couple messages. Hockey is a sport for life. We want to get kids out there playing. A lot of small sided games. Kids should never be standing around. They should always be moving. Um, this is a fun environment, and I think USA Hockey did a great job of those initial messages, which other sports really struggle with. What's the values of the sport? Um, so I mean, I could keep going on, but I think we have so much to learn from each other, and I think there's also sports that are I think doing things wrong. I think there's. I think there's times where a sport really gets technical and really, I think many sports right now are getting systems, too many systems, and they want to create too much structure and systems, which no longer allows for that freedom of expression of the coach or the athlete or the program or the community, you know. So I think, each community, each coach, community, athletes, they have a way to go, and I hope that organizations have a way to inspire them to go that way. Um, I don't see enough examples of that, which I would, that's one of the things that I'd love to see more of.
Narciarstwo!
Just to finish up, we got like quick questions. Who to watch from Apex 2100? And
Well,
Flavio Vitale and Jennifer Germana is too easy because we already know them.
And Igor Kaczmarek.
okay.
Igor Kaczmarek is also off the record.
Iga's doing well. She's doing well. She's getting stronger step by step. Let her progress here. We're trying to give her a bigger range of skill sets so that, when she does progress onto the World Cup, she can handle all different kinds of course sets and snow conditions. But she's doing real well. We have a Hamish, young guy from Scotland. He's doing a great job of progressing in the skiing. We got a Miles Maybelline from Canada, who's just a little guy right now. He's in his first year fist, but just grew like 20 centimeters. But he's got a nice touch on the snow, and he's got a nice feeling for slalom and GS and speed. We got to, I don't want to, pump wheels up too much on different athletes, but we got a girl named Cassandre here who's done really well in the French system. She's also a mountain biker. She's got a lot of courage. She's doing some good stuff. So
No, but I love that we got another Scottish because we got next guy after Dave Riding will retire in World Cup. Let's hope so. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. And last question: your favorite athletes active now?
oh,
Yeah, tough question. And Marco
very
Odermatt
tough
is also
question.
not valid.
I mean, I loved, I'm still red, white, and blue. I got Paula Moulton. Every time she does well, I love it. She's just a fighter.
Yeah.
She's got speed. She keeps fighting,
Mhm.
and I was fortunate enough to go to the World Juniors with her when she was young, and she won a World Junior medals, and then she went on her own path. She went to university and did her own path, and has come back, and uh, she's just every year keeps getting a little bit better, and to see her just keep fighting is always inspirational. I got a special
Mhm.
place for River in my heart, and Bryce Bennett, and those guys, because they're part of my system. Ben Ritchie, I know,
Yeah.
man, that guy's one of the best in the world. And let's go, Ben. Charge. You got
Yeah.
us. You can walk. You can walk and step and jump up on top of the podium. Let's go. Get up there. Get your shit together. Let's go. So, I'm gonna have to stick to those, red, white, and blue guys,
Nice.
guys and
Yeah.
gals.
We must admit that in preseason article we wrote that Ben Ritchie is one to watch this season, and I think that we are right. Yep, great question, Paula Molson. And also, like for me, like Mick Jagger on the stage, you know that it's gonna be a show, good show. It's gonna be full gas. So, yeah, that's great. So we are going to the finish, I think, to the finish line. Sasha,
Sun is setting.
we are...
Sun is setting.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
The west.
Sun is setting.
The cattle goes down to the stream. The redwing settles in the nest. It's time for a cowboy to sing. Yes.
Exactly. We were really honored to have a conversation with you. It is super inspirational, and I got the feeling that we could sit down and talk for at least few hours. But I hope that you will open finally the section for U40 under 40 for the Masters. For us will be first enrolled.
Okay. Hey, well, thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate the opportunity and talking with you guys. And hopefully maybe we can do this again in the future.
Perfect.
Yeah, let's hope
Thank
so.
you.
Let's hope so. Yeah, and where can we apply? How do I send CV? What do I have to do?
Send CV to www.apex2100.org. And if you go there, you can send a resume, or you can apply online.
Okay,
being
I
an
will
athlete.
send. I will send something.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah.
I will
All
already
right. Looking
book.
forward to.
I will already book a place for my daughter. She's already 4 weeks old, so yeah,
4
I need
weeks
to.
old.
Yeah, we need to start the training, I think. Yeah.
Congrats. Are you sleeping at night?
Yeah, not bad.
Good.
Okay, perfect.
Thanks,
Sasha,
guys.
thank you very much. Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for this.
Thank you
talk.
for sharing the passion, because that's great. Really.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. You too. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Best of all.
Take
Yeah.
care.
Bye.